Please continue, Mr. Bremer.
Mr. President, Director Nesbitt, members of the commission, we'll move on to chapter 6 and get the PowerPoint going here. So this one obviously is near and dear to everyone's hearts, and such a important species for us. And we've been, the commission really stood up and recognized the importance of this species last year when they allocated the additional funding for the focal herd monitoring. And we've gone out, and it was pretty timely for us to have that information. We collared just under 1,000 deer in different parts of the state, and it's given us a perspective on mortality and recruitment in Wyoming. And in 2 of those herds, you heard from Ember at the last meeting on what we're doing, and we're getting additional information on survival and habitat use there, and recruitment, and then cause-specific mortality in 2 of those herds, which one of those is Kevin's, and Kevin's still here with us. So this will be something that he may be able to help us chime in on. Let's see. Okay, good. All right. Similar to the other chapter regulation, I'm going to start with Jackson and then go around the state in numerical order of those regions. So Jackson region highlighted in this map with the hunt areas. Generally, they manage the Wyoming range, which is in those northern hunt areas along the west side of the state. They did a siteability last year, and they had an estimate of 29,000 deer. Obviously, we lost a bunch. We know that there's a serious winter mortality in the southern end of that herd unit. So we did take a step back, looked at what we could do to minimize or reduce the opportunity and try to manage public perceptions here. As we talked a little bit earlier, there's a biological argument that you could run a buck only season and not have any issues, but we're also hearing from some publics that want something done drastically. So we're kind of balancing between the two. In fact, I got a call this weekend from a guy that was upset that we weren't allowing more opportunity in the northern end of the Wyoming, or in the Wyoming range near Jackson. But they understand the mortality that we're seeing. Fawn ratios last year were pretty decent, but the severe winter condition, we did to make some changes. And the youth doe harvest, similar to the pronghorn, is it's a very small percentage, but we did make a change in the regulation, and you'll see in that chapter 5. So if you have that shared notebook and you click on the deer, you'll see the draft reg. And if you scroll all the way to the bottom to section 5, that's where the youth seasons are addressed in that category, the general category in that regulation. Proposed seasons this year, antlered deer, they added 3-point or better APR. They shortened the season in 18 areas. So those 18 hunt areas are all of those in the western part of the state, from Pinedale down to Kemmer, almost to Kemmer, that the commission asked us to change probably a little over 20 years ago, asked us to have a consistent single opening date. And we'll talk a little bit more about that when we get through this regulation. But all of these areas open on September 15th. And then if you look at the regulation, they close on September 30th this year, is what our proposal is. It's any white-tailed deer. We increased by 25, and then we added a few more white-tailed deer doe fawn licenses. In Region G, our initial proposal was to not change anything, just because the non-residents have such a low percentage of the overall number of hunters in that area. When you look at the residents and non-residents that hunt in that region, it's a lower percentage. And then Region H, we were going to reduce by 200.